I got a contract. Luckily, that one popped up for an 18 X-ray, which is the Green Beret pipeline. So that was the goal for a little bit, which is the training was really fun. I don't recommend going when you have a wife. That was not fun.
Right.
You don't realize it's one of those things that like once you're gone, you're like, I wish I could just have one more minute. And so
Mm.
that was like a big like pull in my heart. But um, yeah, I mean, I that time was so special, and it's so right. It was really hard, more mentally than physically, in my opinion. Because again, going to the fitness part, like I trained for like 2 years prior, so doing the
Yeah.
runs and push ups and pull ups, like if you train for it, you're ready, man.
Yeah.
Especially in like the basic, in the basic pipeline, um, but yeah, don't leave your wife. Not biblical. Bad.
And so, like, what was that training like whenever you knew you wanted to go like Green Beret and you're gonna have to go through boot camp first? Like, what was your training like to prepare for that?
So initially it was like, okay, I looked at what the PT test was. So it was push ups,
Hmm.
pull ups, sit ups. Luckily, like the day I joined, they were like, we're switching the PT test up. And I was like, fantastic, everything I trained for. But so I mainly focused on, I mean, a lot of my accessory work was the PT test of what it was at the time. So 2 mile run, 2 minute push ups, 2 minute sit ups. So I was just testing that over and over again. Because of that, the lowest score, so it's based out of 300. The lowest score I got on one was a 280 because I had bronchitis and couldn't run. Like it just sucked. Um,
But you did the run with bronchitis.
yeah, that one was horrible. All my buddies were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Dude, I can't breathe. This is this isn't good." But no, yeah, I mean, dude, it was just like hundreds and hundreds of push-ups and sit-ups and running, and it was fun. um,
That is insane.
yeah, and then like on top of that, it was um, I got heavily in CrossFit, which I know you've delved in as well. So
Yeah.
actually, luckily one of the guys that I joined a gym called CrossFit Reston, and one of the guys who owns the gym was in the Green Beret pipeline as well.
Cool.
So he was like mentoring me the whole time. So it was cool. Got kind of the inside scoop of what to expect and everything. So
Yeah. So would you say CrossFit, like if someone's training for special forces, is CrossFit a good way to go?
yeah, I mean, if you want to get in shape and like get your endurance up, so I think people see like Matt Froning or Rich Froning or Matt Frazier, and they're like, that's what CrossFit dudes look like, but they don't understand they are doing CrossFit a good amount of time, but they're also resistance training and
Hmm.
heavily weight training. If I were to go back, I would pair the two because I focus more on the endurance. I mean, I could run for days, which is awesome. But
Yeah.
because I have such a smaller stature, the rucks where you had 80 to 100 pounds on your back really got me because I was 150. So like,
Yeah.
two
That's like
thirds of my
most of your
body weight.
body weight.
Yeah, exactly. So if I were to do it again, I would do a lot more resistance training on top of the CrossFit. So
Hmm. So like powerlifting kind of stuff or
yeah, just getting your body acclimated to having weight under it or carrying heavy things or because like I said, like dude, I could run and do clean and jerk till kingdom come for a simple CrossFit workout just because they're never going to make the clean and jerk like 250 pounds on an RX workout. So like lighter
yeah.
weight was fine, but like if I was going to go back, it was going to be really, really focused on that, on getting weight under my body. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my advice with it. So especially for a
Nice.
smaller guy, that was the hard part for sure.
And so how was basic training? Because you had to go basic training before you went into Green Beret training, right?
Yes, yeah. So it was basic airborne right into the pipeline,
Hmm.
or selection time frame. So yeah, dude, it was. So I left August 24th to go to basic, and I do not recommend going in during a pandemic because I was stupid in my. But I mean, who knew?
Yeah,
Um,
no, nobody could have known like what was going to happen.
yeah, and we got like it was like the most unfortunate circumstance. So you go to basic, but you don't go to basic right away. You go to a place called reception where you get all your all your stuff, like all your
Hmm.
uniforms, boots, whatever. And that's usually, from what I've been told, I did not experience this. It's usually 3 days. We were there for a month and a half, and
Whoa.
yeah, during that time, they were like, you can't work out because they had one kid who was they were doing a workout on the track and his hip decided to like explode in his body, which we were like, what the crap. um, so that was fun. So they were like, no more working out.
Yeah.
And so our days consisted of, we had something called a blue book, which is just like everything 101 about the army, and we'd sit
Hmm.
on concrete for like 12 hours a day. So
Gosh.
it was good mental training, but
I
after
was
a
about to
while
say that
you're
mental fortitude got
yeah.
tested.
So like it was like we got up our company got up at 4 a.m. and we sat till like 6 for um, breakfast. And like if they caught you sleeping, it was just push ups for days, and the whole company had to get involved. So like you have 200 dudes just sitting there. It's like okay, someone's inevitably gonna fall. um,
Yeah.
so it was that. Then breakfast, then back out there till lunch. We get a break between like lunch and dinner, and then go to bed at 9, and then you had
Yeah.
to pull your fire guard duty. So I mean, you were up at random hours of the night. So um, once there, and I think, dude, like that whole process, like it kind of set us up to fail
Hmm.
because you get used to people just yelling at you and like just getting onto you. That like whenever when our real drill sergeant did it at basic, like we just didn't care. Um,
Yeah.
So it made us like because we were all there and kind of like we started to get squared away, and then we were like, all right, y'all are just messing with us now. So so like we just didn't care.
Yeah.
Um, and you remember how I told you I have just really good luck military wise, like trainings. So I got to go to the first 6 month cycle in basic training history. It was awesome, and that's sarcasm. That was horrible.
I was about to say, it sounds like they just condensed every atom, every aspect of hell during military training into a small period of time.
So it's usually 12 weeks. So they extended it.
Gosh.
So
Oh, they extended it. Okay.
extended it. It's usually like so. Basic is usually 10 weeks, but then you have 4 weeks of 3 or 4 weeks of AIT, which is like specific to your
Okay.
to your MOS. So
Yeah.
they did all of ours in 24 months, and they were like, "We're gonna ensure you get more range time. We're gonna ensure all this stuff." But like, they just took the same curriculum and just spread it out over 6 months. So like, we would wake up some days and they're like, "We have nothing to do. Go back to the barracks," and we just sit all day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
And this is
again,
like during COVID time, and so I don't know. Is there like a military disclaimer that you need to put out there, like, are you like if you say anything about like what happened, are you okay?
I mean, I think so. I mean, this is just more my experience of what happened.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like this anymore. They've gone back to the like right when we got to North Carolina for like to get processed into SWIC, they're like, yeah, we're not doing a 6 month cycle anymore, and like it was just like the perfect storm of just like crap happening. So
Yeah.
um,
Because you were in the thick of, was it 2020, like when
yeah,
you were going through it?
yeah,
Goodness. So this was August 2020. So, like, right whenever everything was just peak amount of panic and
yeah. Hmm.
everything going on. So, we've talked before, like, what the barrack situation was like and, like, what the, I guess, COVID standards were
Yeah.
for the military. So, can you go over, like, what they were asking y'all to do, like, for, like, COVID during training?
So it kind of changed over time, but when we got there, it was you had to wear your mask all the time except for when you slept. So
Well,
it
that's
was,
good.
dude. It was like they were like, "All right, you have to wear your mask to run," and I'm like, "No, like that's stupid." And that changed really fast because like people were just taking them off anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so and then it changed to from you have to wear it all the time to if you're in the barracks, COVID can't get you basically. So it was like, what are we doing, man? And it turned into it was like the colonel like over our like company. He was or like there's like 6 companies within like the battalion. He was over the battalion, whatever. And they just did it to appease him because he was like pushing for it, which is fine. Like, do you whatever you
Yeah.
have orders you have to follow as well. Um, and so I think the worst part was like they'd be like, all right, after. So you go red, white, blue phase, which is 3 weeks each or 4 weeks each in basic,
Yeah.
and you're supposed to be able to go to the PX or like get a little pass or whatever. But like all of that got nixed because of COVID, because everyone from all the companies around Fort Benning were just going there. So
Mm.
they were like, y'all can't do anything. Y'all can't. And like our graduation, like no one could, our families couldn't come see us. Um,
Goodness.
it was, it kind of, and again, and it was 6 months. So like it got to the point where we were like, what are we doing here? Like
Yeah.
we're just kind of sitting around with our thumbs up our butts, just there's no motivation to be like, okay, I know if we get through this, I'll get to see my wife or or
Yeah.
my family. So again, that fell into like we just became so undisciplined because we hit a point as a whole company where we were like, no matter what we do, we're gonna get screwed. So let's just have fun in the process. So that was like
Yeah.
that was the fun part.
Oh man. And so what was it like? So I guess moving to Green Beret training, like
Yep.
how did that go? Like was it the same sort of situation where like the COVID was that or what year what's the timeline for that?
So that was I got there in May of 21,
Okay.
and it was, dude. It was I don't even know how to describe it. It was one of those things where I got there and like so like backing up a little bit. So when we went to Airborne, we were all ready to go to Airborne and everything, and they forgot to pull my packet. So everyone from my company left except for me. So I had to stay at basic training for 2 more weeks, basically. Uh, so that was
Good.
horrible. So all my friends left me, not because of. So it just sucked because I was like, oh, I'm alone in this.
Yeah.
Luckily, some dudes trickled back because they're just like medical reasons, and then they got to come with me later. But so
Yeah.
I made really really close friends with those guys. But um, I'm sorry, what was your original question again? I sidetracked. I know you said no.
No.
COVID stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So like going through Green Beret training, like
yeah,
with the I guess were COVID standards like a thing still, like when
yeah,
you were going through that training?
yeah. So like I said, in Airborne, like, dude, they would let us like run like the Airborne track and everything, but like across the street on the weekends, usually like on the weekends in Airborne school, you can like go off and do everything you want. But at Benning, they were like, no. So like there was like a subway across the street, and they were like, if you go to that subway, you're dropped from the course. So like Benning was really strict, and then we got to Fort Bragg, which I think is Fort Liberty now, whatever.
Hmm.
And they were like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Like wear your mask in formation, which was like twice a day, because they were like, we want you. You're focusing on in this time frame before like it was called prep course, where they prep you for selection.
Hmm.
We had like a 2 month like summer basically, where they were like, there's nothing during this time because it's too hot. So they were like, as long as you wear your mask, you're fine. And then it got to the point where they're like, all right, you don't have to wear the mask. And then in prep course, they're like, you have to bring the mask back. And we're like, what the heck, man? So
Oh man.
that didn't go over well with a lot of us. So that's kind of where the stupidity started for our journey, because everyone started getting, I guess, mad about it. And then like that's where like the defiancy started coming in.
Yeah.
So
And I guess was it just like the lack of consistency that people were noticing and like the I guess military readiness wasn't being prioritized or
yeah, so I think so. From what I know, they did. I think Floyd Austin, who's the I forget what role he's high up there. At the time, he was saying that getting his soldiers vaccinated was like the number one priority, and this is like
Mhm.
right when Russia Ukraine kicked off and everything. And I know like I'm a very strong believer in like not sending our soldiers to war if like there's no reason for us to fight it.
Yeah.
But like that was fifth on his list to like watch how that played out, where like he was more concerned with getting everyone vaccinated. But
Hmm.
and this was at a time where like everyone was like, all right, none of this COVID stuff's making any sense whatsoever. Um, so I don't know. There was it seemed like they were just trying to push an agenda, and like we were being the test subjects in that agenda during the time.
Yeah.
Like there was a point where there was like 250 of us in the company at SWIC, which is the Green Beret like company, and or the prep company. and they called all the non-vaxxers down, and they were like, "All right, everyone form a line and let's get on this bus because we're going to get your vaccine right now." And from
Ooh.
that's when 40 of us decided we're not doing this, and so
Yeah.
we stepped off to the side, and they were like, "All right, more to come." And then we had like talks from I think he was a colonel, like doctor, a Green Beret doctor. He was like, "Y'all are being stupid. Like, just go get your shot." And then another colonel was like, "Y'all are traitors to your country." And we were like, "Fantastic! That's awesome! Rock and roll." They're supporting us. So like, I
Right.
think I think because all of us getting berated like that, it kind
Mm.
of it had to you kind of had to rely on the guy next to you. So luckily, there was a lot of guys from my basic class that fall in line with what I believed in the time, because a lot of it was just based solely on conviction, and like I was like, I don't have a good feeling about this at all.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
from what you've told me, like it sounds like there was good reason to not be excited about it. And like you don't have to get into the specifics, like we've talked about it before, but from what you've said, like there was evidence to not go ahead with this.
yeah, I mean, the science just wasn't adding up, man, on my end, of why like you're the primary people who realistically don't need a vaccine for this are
Mm.
young guys who are fit,
Yeah.
and it's affecting people who have like uh like preconditions or like overweight or whatever. So like I'm like this, like why are you forcing me to do this? I mean, I know, here's the thing, I know it's the military and what they say goes, but like
Yeah.
I'm very much a proponent of like I don't want to do something that's going to affect me long term. Um, and I really hold fast to like if I have a conviction of something, it's going to eat at me until like I just comply with it. So I really feel
Yeah.
like in the Lord, in that time, the Lord was like, "Don't do this. It's going to make sense."
Mm.
But I just couldn't see far. And like looking at my life now, I'm like, it made perfect sense. But
Yeah.
um, in the moment, He was like, "Just be patient with me." And I was
Mm.
like, "I don't want to be patient. Just tell me just tell me what's happening."
Which is hard because I mean, I'm sure you were stoked about the path that you were on. Like you were going to be a
Yeah,
Green Beret, you were going to follow in like your family's footsteps, like you were going
yeah.
to be like the man.
That
And
was
so I'm sure,
the hope, man. That
yeah,
was the hope. But we can really desire things and want things, but the Lord
hmm
has a lot better stuff. I mean, like thinking about it now, like I could have been on that pathway and like not really see my wife that much. We would have never fostered Nayeli. So I mean,
yeah,
there's that. I wouldn't have this incredible community. So like, I really do think the Lord directs our steps in everything we do. Um,
hmm
and again, even if like there's just crap that you have to go through in the way, like the COVID crap, being called a traitor to your country. Like, I don't think we deserve that, but like
no, no,
we got berated from August of 21 to, and we all got out in July of 22. So it was like an
golly,
8 month roughly period of just like crap.
yeah.
So
It's like in this time, were you still going through like Green Beret selection
no,
or?
so they told us that because we didn't have the vaccine, we weren't able to participate in anything. We got removed from the course. Um,
Mm.
they said you can't train with someone who has a vaccine because it could get them sick. And I was like, but they have the vaccine, shouldn't? Yeah,
What?
like it was like crap like
Exactly.
that, man. It was like, what the heck? Um, so yeah, so we got told you have to go pick grass from like 8 a.m. to 5. And so we go and we just pick grass all day. Like,
Oh my
and it was just
gosh.
stupid stuff like that. It made no sense, but they didn't know what to do with us. They were like, we've never seen something like this. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, good for y'all for defying and like actually, standing up for your rights and not doing what you were told.
yeah, again, a lot of us just had. It was kind of cool too because again, I feel like the Lord really wanted me there, and I got to really see that play out. Like in that
Mm.
time, like Bible studies were formed out of this, and um, like buddies were coming to Christ through this. I mean, it's a win,
Wow.
definitely a win.
Absolutely. And so what did that look like when you had like Bible study, like when you say Bible studies were happening, like how did all that come about?
Um, so I really think dudes like so like there was a time where like we were all like just like going out like, and I was a believer at this time. I wasn't participating in anything like bad. I was just going to hang out with my buddies because there was nothing else
Yeah.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it hit a point, and I was like, I can't continually say I'm a Christian, but then still hang out in these bars. Like I wasn't doing anything bad. Like I was talking with my friends and drinking water. Like that was I was that guy, um, which is cool. Like people's reactions are always funny to that, but um,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm putting myself up. I'm only setting myself up for failure, like in the long run. So I remember I told my buddy was like, "Hey, we going out this weekend?" And I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing it anymore. It's just I can't do it. Y'all have fun." And then some, and I'm not saying like I was the cause of this. I'm saying like this is again my conviction. I lean heavy on
Okay.
what I'm convicted on, um, and it went from that to there was like 8 of us who started a Bible study, and like the goal was we know we're not all staying here together, so let's all lead a week in the Bible study, so that when we go out, we can have our own Bible studies that we're leading, and like we know what this looks like because we're kind of training ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about the Green Beret pipeline. Like the whole thing is, everyone thinks like you're 12 strong. I don't know if you've seen the movie. Is just all you do, but like the
Mm-hmm.
majority of it is like going into the community, getting to know the community, and then and then building up their army and building them up.
Yeah.
So like
When you say
what
going into the community, what is
like you
that?
would like if you were if you're in Afghanistan, you would live in an Afghan village and like
Hmm.
play the part. Like you would act
Yeah.
like you're not a U.S. citizen. You would act like exactly like them. So you're immersing in their community completely. And then
Yeah.
on the side, I mean, your mission is to build up their army so that if like the Taliban came, they knew how to defend themselves.
Hmm.
Um, and in my head, I'm like, what a beautiful like that's how we should be living as believers. Like, let's go into these dark spots and teach them about Jesus, build them up, and disciple them so they can go out into the world and defend themselves if we're not there. So
Yeah.
that was my conviction of going that route then, because everyone was like, you should go option 40, which is Ranger. And I was like, that would be awesome. But they're more, they're more shoot first, ask questions later type thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so is that the appeal like of the Green Beret in the beginning for you?
It was, like I said, I mean, all this happened right after I gave my life to Christ. So, I mean,
Hmm.
I think finally understanding like what discipleship looks like and what loving someone looks like. Um, like we'd watch documentaries on like what's going on in Afghanistan during that time, and it's like my heart and like some of my buddies' hearts like just turned into like puddles for these kids, man, that are just in the thick of it for no reason, or like these communities that are like, I just want to love my wife, but I can't do that effectively because we're getting shot at every day, and I'm getting mad about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, the Green Beret route was like the way to like get in there and like teach someone a skill so that they can provide for their family and defend themselves and defend their families. So,
Yeah.
and then my goal was ultimately if I'm over there, like if I get shot, I get shot. But like we're sharing the gospel while we're there.
Mm.
So,
I love that. I
yeah,
love it.
but the Lord didn't have that for me, and that's okay. So
I'm glad you didn't get shot.
well, maybe I might if I keep making my wife mad. We don't know yet.
All right. And so, like, what did that exit process look like whenever they finally said like they'd had enough of like that defiance and like
Yeah,
you said July 2022?
yeah,
Like was
yeah. We got out July 1st, 2022. So it was like I think it was they didn't say anything from August to February. They just had us in
mm,
and like we were hearing rumors through the rumor mill of like this is what was going to happen with us, but nothing was set in stone. Then we had a formation for just the vax refusals in February, and they were like, "Yep, they're kicking you guys out." And we were like,
mm.
"Cool. I mean, this is better than just sitting around wasting our lives."
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Um, So they were like, "Yeah, we're thinking it could be like 6 weeks when y'all are out." We were like, "Fantastic!" And then it was July. So I mean, I don't know what happened in in between.